welcome to the meeting, the general meeting, everyone. And it doesn't look like we have any questions or agenda items before we dive into the working groups. I don't know. I wasn't there at the very beginning, Alessandro. Did you have anything specific that you wanted to discuss or that we can tackle before we go into the working groups?
If you allow me, I don't want to disrupt the flow, but I've been playing with an idea in my head lately, right? So, and I brought a draft document, and I would like to run by you. I gather some ideas. So, and my idea was to create, of course, a new tag community, but obviously you cannot just jump in because this is the lesson we learn when we try to form tag environmental sustainability. It has to be a working group before it becomes a tag. So I was thinking, what if I would like to create or propose, right? So propose to the TOC creating a technical advisory group dedicated to community, to advise community, to help community. Which tag would host this potential working group? And I think contributor strategy would be the perfect place to incubate this community working group, which maybe one day will become a tag in itself. So I just give away this is the idea in my head, and I will reach out to people from the tag and the chairs if it's something that may resonate.
So,
and how do you see this as being different? So we do have a working group that's focused on contributor growth, which is a piece of community. What else would you say that you would want to focus on beyond contributor growth? What are some of the other things?
Yeah, directly helping the cloud native community groups to grow, right? So the local communities, eventually also supporting efforts like Kubernetes Community Days, Cloud Native Days, really being the place where people that want to grow a community, not just as individual contributor, but as a group of volunteers, can go and get. And sure, CNCF and Linux Foundation gives us all these tools and amazing people, of course, that support us, but maybe it's time also to, make a grassroots movement or like a working group, very open, that can take up these topics. So supporting community groups, supporting communities all around the world.
Do you have other people who are already interested in collaborating with you on this?
Yep. Yes, it's I started it. I mean, I had this idea, but I already spoke with a few people, especially because I come from there, right? So I've been organizing KCD since 2019. So I've seen a lot of local communities and local groups grow and needing support. So I think maybe it's time for in my mind, I call it tag community, but of course I will we will start as a working group. So before I just drop it on the tag contributor strategy, I came here also to see how's the feeling, if it's a completely out there idea of something that the tag will accept. Yeah, but I do have some support. I mean, I will not be the only one signing it or starting it. There is more people that I've been talking to. And eventually I will also reach out to the TOC because, of course, you need a sponsor in high places, right?
Okay. Have you, before this meeting, have you talked to any of the staff about this?
No,
I'm thinking
no,
particularly like Audra and Katie, for obvious reasons.
No, not yet. No, came back from holidays like a week ago. I have this document that I start to write, and I'm gathering feedback. But yes, I could, of course, obviously. Obviously, I'm not saying that we don't need liaison with the CNCF, with the organization, right? So it's just a new way of thinking how we interact with the CNCF, right? With the like tags do interact with the establishment, with the corporate, but they're also independent, and eventually they just they just report to the TOC.
Yeah.
So I would like, also for the community, to propose that we can also adopt the same model, right? So there's a grassroots community with chairs elected and all sort of democratic process that interacts with the CNCF, of course, because this is what we want to do, is to work within the organization to grow even more. And so building upon the great work of the people from CNCF that are really dedicated to the community growth, but then, you know, making it like a grassroots, like a bottom-up effort. If you know what I mean, if I explain myself properly.
Yeah, one of the challenges that we have in this particular tag is that we have a lot of stuff going on and not a lot of people to do it. So that's always one of our concerns when thinking about doing something new. However, you know, I think back to the work that you know, that you know, Catherine and Sandeep and some others have done around the deaf and hard of hearing working group, and how many interesting people that have you know, that's brought into the tag. And so, you know, now we have, you know, additional people who are looking at things like governance reviews and looking at other areas of the project. So on the one hand, I feel like we're already kind of overextended, but on the other hand, I wonder if this might help us bring some more people into the tag who might also be interested in working on things like contributor growth and some of the areas that are related to this.
Yeah.
So I guess I have mixed feelings. Like on the one hand, I feel like this might be an interesting opportunity for us to bring some new people into the tag, but I also want to make sure that we don't just continue to overload the same people with too much stuff.
I choose this tag, of course. Also, I've been reading all your emails, you know, all the board, the board review, and I know that there's a need for people contributing. So I was a silent reader. So then this idea grew in my mind. So this is the group of people I want to interact with, and I want to discuss it. So imagine, because you know, the ambassador group is pretty large, right? So hundreds of people. This will also be, and most of them, they are ambassadors because they organize local communities. So there would be a chance to involve them and making them feel that they also can have an active part in helping other communities through the working group community within the tag, which, you know, one day I think it should deserve its own tag, but for sure it will take a year or two before you know, when we prove that this group is actually useful and can have a positive impact.
I have a quick question, and that's more to Don and Josh and the rest of the team. So contributor growth, was it now paused, or are we still, because I know someone volunteered, what is the current status of that group right now?
It's effectively paused. The only portion of it which is still active is the non-code team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The mostly because we just don't have individual working group leadership for it.
Yeah, and
yeah.
From my perspective, I sort of feel like because there's not a lot of ongoing work, it was just one more meeting and then no one was showing up. And so you go to the meeting and prepare for it and then nothing would happen. And then, so I think we paused the meetings. I don't think the working group itself is paused. Like if we start working on some things again, then we should start doing meetings again.
Mm-hmm.
That was my feel.
Yeah, because I do honestly feel, Alessandro, that your idea is, and that's what Josh, no, actually Don mentioned at the beginning, it is part of contributor growth. However, it is a different focus, right? Before, contributor growth was focusing more on technicalities and, you know, and this is like very much community events and whatever, but it's two sides of the same coin. It is, you grow your community by creating events and so on. And actually in the contributor growth, what did we call it? Like guide or whatever, like that we talk about events and all the fuzzy things that you need, human connections, blah, that are part of it. So I feel like that is part of that working group that hasn't been really focused on. So, and given that that group kind of is not as active as it was, I feel that that could be a place. where we could focus more on the community in-person events aspect and then like see like if the other part also kind of becomes more active, because maybe some of the people on that side will want to engage in other things beyond events, because community growth is like events is just one part of it, and so seeing more full picture. So it does
think
it
it's
does feel
somehow-
like it fits in.
I agree. The thing is, somehow in my head, I complete the phrase contributor growth as code contributor growth, you know? But that's me, you know, like I identify contributor growth as the individual code contributor, but it's my limitation, of course. I understand.
Yeah.
Now I get it, right? So now it's more clear that contributor growth means more than just code.
I will also
Oh.
support what Catherine said on, that's actually a running activity that you can pick up and go, and you already have sort of an infrastructure under you, and then you build it into strongly on that angle, but it doesn't close the door for the rest of the work that has been done or that is ongoing, and just run with that, take over the leadership, because I was the lead for that for a while, and actually my update for today is I really need to step away. I'm just don't have the bandwidth, so I will nominate you. You look like a good leader.
Although, well, except, I mean, what we've got in the project board for contributor growth, et cetera, is not anything that Alessandro is talking about. Because I actually wanted to stress a couple of things, because I think I understand what Alessandro wants, which is sort of a meta group of ambassadors and KCD organizers and other regional and cultural leaders who could help incubate new like regional and cultural groups. And that said, in from that perspective, it would end up being a lot like accessibility, where we might incubate it as a working group, but its successful outcome would not be a tag. It would be some other type of organization, because tags are specifically project supporting. Do you follow me within the CNCF? It's called Technical Advisory Group for a reason, which is all of the tags are supposed to have a mission that directly interacts with the CNCF projects. And we've discussed having a non-tag group with several things that haven't quite gone there yet, right? Like if accessibility graduates out of this tag, what would that look like? If higher ed graduates out of this tag, what would that look like? And it wouldn't be a tag. The other thing I want to mention is we really need to bring Katie and Audra and stuff into this from a feedback perspective, simply because they are in charge from a staff side of things. Because I mean, part of it is what you're describing is kind of sort of what the ambassadors are supposed to be doing. And so in some ways, you are pointing out the limitations of the ambassador program. And particularly if we're going to have a group that would include all the ambassadors, we need to actually talk to the people who are currently running those programs.
You're right. And
Yeah.
I'm a proud ambassador for many years, as you know,
Yeah.
right? So there are every program has a limitation, of course, but I'm also thinking we select ambassador for their ongoing efforts in their region to foster, communities in cloud native. But there are regions that don't have ambassador because there is no, and it's a chicken and egg problem, right? So maybe a working group dedicated to community will directly address these less developed areas of the world. Some of them are also in US, for example, right? So many times people come to us and they say, yeah, I want to start a meetup in my group, in my town, but I don't know where to start, or I don't know if there's somebody else. So also making sure that everybody, everywhere, not only where the ambassadors are located, have the tools to start or continue or grow a local community. That would be one of the things the community working group could do, or of course, or the expanded contributor growth would do.
No, and it's true. Like, for example, if you want to say, hey, I want to start a meetup in my area, you know, where are people who already run meetups that I can talk to? Like, CNCF does not have a Slack channel for that. There's no clear group to talk to. You know, nor is there a group that would say, hey, you know, Singapore is one of the top tech cities in the world, and yet there's no Kubernetes meetup in Singapore. Maybe we ought to do something about that, right?
Yeah, we could reach out, you know.
It also feels to me like it's I don't know, I've organized a lot of tech events over the years, and there's a set of people that just want to run the thing in their city, and that's it. They just want to do their thing. And then there's a set of people, you look at like the DevOps Days, kind of the core team, core organizers, who are the people who help other people run those events. And I feel like they're kind of different. Like, not everybody wants to be helping other people. So not all of the ambassadors want to help other people run events in their city. So I feel like it's a smaller subset of people who want to provide those best practices and who want to, you know, document some of these things and help people spin up new events in their particular local community. So it does feel, I guess it feels different to me than just like the ambassador program, because it's more about best practices and helping other people do the right thing. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Nate.
Just looking at some of our internal docs, in terms of meetup funding and whatnot, I believe we do have some capacity to do that. I would send anything like that to Katie Green.
But it's not, we're not talking about funding.
Right, no, but I mean, we are trying to support meetups and such like that. And what I'm trying to see, what I'm looking for is whether we've like published any of that. Because that does seem like it's something we do support, but like we need to get the word out in terms of just that one particular little slice of what we're discussing here. So, but yeah, Katie's got all that in her remit. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail. I just wanted to.
I've got a question. Is it just really just focus on KCD kind of stuff? Because I think you started a little earlier talking, I assume, because people seem to have more context than I had. So it's more about in general how to create community. So it's like KCDs is kind of like the thing that you know, but it's like also what else can be done to create more community. And right now I cannot think anything else but events, right? But it's like, it's more broader, right?
The scope is broad, and indeed, like KCDs are just, you know, like a bigger meetups in a way, you know, so that you do have to build a community first, and to have a successful KCD event or Cloud Native Day or whatever, right? So it is about like growing a permanent community in as many places as possible, right? So everybody will feel supported in their journey, right? So there's to help people find their own peers and new friends in their local regions. So yeah, the scope can be broad indeed. It can also support online or podcasts or things like Crash Look Back video series, right? So it can be quite broad, but of course, like the idea is to narrow it down to what really matters right now, which is, I think, it's supporting less developed communities in some places there. For example, they're none. I didn't know that Singapore doesn't have a running meetup or community, and definitely we can, because we're all people that know each other, right? And we have extensive networks. We can definitely find somebody almost everywhere that is willing to support the local community. So I think it would be a good service to the CNCF and to the general cloud native community to have a group that can address these issues. Again, my opinion, and I'm
Yeah.
very thankful
I
for
mean-
the great discussion. But
Yeah, the other thing that I think would be worth consideration is also support for non-English language communities.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because that's another area where, particularly where people actually have a very uneven relationship with the CNCF staff.
yeah, you mean the CNCF, of course, is an English-centric organization, right? So while the large community
Yeah.
can speak almost every language, right? So we can support the corporate goals, of course, the big goals, the business, the community growth through that, for example.
Okay. I mean, all of this sounds like a really interesting idea to me, and I think it's worth following up on. I think because of the scope, we need to talk to a whole bunch of other people before we do anything on it. Including Katie and Audra and some other people, who, are potential leadership candidates for this. And particularly, right, if you're focusing on regional groups and that sort of thing, we'll want to have leaders that are fairly diverse regionally.
This could be in
Yeah, I
the
Focus. Yeah, I didn't think about, because it's like mostly it all started North America, Western Europe, like like countries that have fairly good, either are native speakers or where most people do speak English. But then, as you kind of grow the community in countries where English is not as, common, I can assume it is a real challenge because everything is just in English, and we cannot probably translate everything in every possible language, but like have assistance. I think that is actually super valuable, because it must be completely overwhelming if you're trying to do a KCD in your country, or if you're interested in all the documentation is in English and that's not a language yet to master.
Plus, what I think is value is people just want sort of community support, right? Like you're trying to start a meetup in your area, you've never run a meetup before. Yeah, you can get resources from the staff, but you just want to talk to people who've done it before.
Right, and the CNCF, the staff, they're not there to hold your hand because they're doing so much stuff, right? So it's not like they give you resources and so on, but they're not going to really kind of help you through the whole process. Whereas if you have a group of people like Alessandro who is passionate about, which is, as Don said, probably not everyone, but like if you kind of can get like a few people who are passionate about helping other people, and then they have much more time or like dedication, or at least I think that's something important, helping these people and do the hand holding for those who need it. Yeah, cool. So I think like Josh, you said a few discussions internally, and Alessandra has to talk to, right?
Yeah, no, we want to
Definitely.
follow up with Alessandro and with other people, and let's follow up in this via Slack and email. Because like eventually what we'll need is, we would need initial leaders for this, and would need, in fact, a sort of goals and scope document, which will take a bit to figure out.
Yeah, and I'll send over what I have put down on paper, of course.
Yeah.
And we can collaborate. We can have more people pitching in, and it's just one idea, but I'll be happy to bounce it around.
Cool.
Okay, so
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that.
So if there are no further comments, I think we can move to the working groups, starting with mentoring.
I'm going to be quick because I think I do actually have to drop pretty quick. I don't have the permission to say exactly what the quote is. but we did get our CNCF maintainer survey information back, and one of the things that made me feel good was somebody saying just how helpful the mentoring programs are, that it's a very good way to get people on board, and is in fact where they get most of their long-term maintainers from. So that made me feel very, very good about the program that we're running and how we're running it. Now I'd like to get more than just one person saying, but it still made me feel good. So I wanted to share that. The other thing is we're doing a couple of things where I tend to update the stats overview at the end of every semester, and this chart every time the governing board asks for something. And so this chart is what I'm going to be sharing with the governing board probably later this month. We're doing well for 2024. Our percentage of failures is down. We're still getting, and so the difference between a failure and a withdraw is basically the project not finding a suitable candidate and not wanting to move forward, whereas a failure is a mentee who has started the program, who has submitted work that is not deemed sufficient for the program. Both the withdrawal and the failures percentages look like they're coming down, but that's hard to say because there is a term currently going, and so yeah, so we're looking good. We're not getting quite the growth I was hoping to get, closer to 175 people running through the program. We're still at about 150 some odd, which is par for what we did last year. But I'm hoping to grow we are hoping to grow the program a little bit more. I think the way to do that is to help more sandbox projects get into a position where not only they can accept mentees, but to accept contributors just generally. And I think that's sort of if you can't accept a contributor, then you're not going to be able to have the capacity to do a mentorship. But I do think that the sandbox is where we're going to get our most growth moving forward into next year. What else can I say? So we're just starting this week for term 3 for 2024. We've got 47 mentees starting, which again, that's I think pretty good numbers. Google Summer of Code, the bulk of that program is finished now, but there's always, because you can have different lengths of projects. One is actually finishing this week, and then the other 3 are next month, and then one is actually ending in November. So I mean, Summer of Code is kind of an aspirational phrase, I think. And then Outreachy, we had one project done earlier this year, OTEL, and OTEL is planning on doing another one. We just approved funding, so they're going to be participating in OTEL's, I want to say, Northern Winter term. They always straddle the end of year with this one term. So I'm still trying to figure out how we can fund more Outreachy, but right now that's the bottleneck, is that we're currently only able to fund one Outreachy project per at a time. Basically one per year is basically what we do. And then the other thing is I've put up the 2025 first term schedule. Normally I would let that sort of sit as a PR for a week, but somebody was actually is doing I believe they may have just finished their talk where they were talking about our mentorship program. So I wanted to have something up for them to point to say, hey, keep an eye on the space, but those dates and whatnot are able to be changed, and probably, frankly, will be changed. So I think that's the bulk of my update for today. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
No. Just a quick remark. OTEL actually has several mentors, and as a result, I was trying to find funding for a second outreachy slot. And unfortunately will not get an answer on that funding until it's too late to do it this term.
Well, okay, I think we need to think on that because CNCF is funding their next one.
Right. So CNCF is funding one slot.
Yeah, one slot. Yeah.
Right. What I'm saying is OTEL actually has enough mentors that we could do more than one slot if we had the funding for it.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. So and that's the
And
problem.
so I was looking for outside funding for a second slot.
Yeah.
Have somebody who's interested, but they're not going to give me an answer for 2 weeks, which is too late. So
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just anytime mentors are such a scarce commodity that at any time that we have more mentors, I try to find
I know.
some way to give them mentees.
Yeah.
The
And I've actually got a meeting scheduled with one of the hotel mentors next week to sort of discuss and see how we can better support. But if it's just a pure funding issue, that can be a bit tricky for me because I can't.
There's always a next term.
There is. That's exactly it.
There's always a next term.
Yeah.
Yep.
So working on it. Hoping to make things a little bit better, but that's the state of the WG as it stands.
Okay, cool.
But I do have to, if there are no other questions, my apologies, I do have to drop. So enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, so next would be contributor growth. Rian, you ready? Did you already say what you wanted to say, or do you want to emphasize that again?
I've said what I need to say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't want to just jump over you. And then next would be governance.
Yeah, actually, wait. Let's not give up on contributor growth here yet, because I think given the state of contributor growth, do we actually want to bring this to, do we actually want to, so for example, throw something on the TOC mailing list saying, hey, we don't currently have leadership for the working group because, we're trying to finish up a bunch of stuff with the other working groups and see if there's somebody out there.
It sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think when we do that, we just need to be, I think, maybe clear about the responsibilities. Because I feel like a lot of times we get volunteers or people who are relatively new to open source to help out, and this really isn't a newbie activity. So I feel like we just need to be clear about the fact that the work that this group does requires some experience. But I think it's a good idea. I just want to be careful about how we do it so we don't end up with more work and disappointing people.
A little bit like a job posting. Kind of. This is what we're looking for. These are the skills. This is what you have to do. Anything else regarding contributor growth? Okay, then governance.
Yep. Governance working group is all about the governance reviews. We have a queue and a backlog, particularly because we actually need to overhaul the structure of the governance review to match the official graduation checklist. It has the same stuff on it. It's just not in the same order with the same phrasing. And we need them to match so that projects don't perceive them as two different things. Because they're not two different things. The way those things got on the checklist is they came from our governance review. So, anything else, Don?
No, I was on holiday, so I missed the meeting and haven't had much time to work on governance reviews.
Yep. Well, we have like 8 waiting. So any one of them you want to pick up. I am really going to work on the reconciliation thing next. Because actually the other thing, and this will be for the governance meeting, but since we're not having a governance meeting for 3 weeks, I want to actually mention this, which is I'm working on a process to prioritize reviews according to the TOC schedule. And somebody else shared with me the project board for scheduling incubating reviews and the one for scheduling graduated reviews. And as a result, that means that we can look at what's moving into the final phases for those processes, which are the ones that we really need to get the review done for.
I did ask that I help set up our board to be able to filter our stuff to match that. So jumping the queue later on, there's a PR open that which I pinged Ali for to add a new label, and then I can set up the board. Because
yeah, I don't think actually, given that we're now going to be looking at the TOC's boards, I don't think we actually need a separate board of our own. Because if you look at the governance working group board, 80% of it is governance reviews. We might decide that we want a separate board for our own use. But honestly, that would actually kind of partly depend on whether or not we could have some sort of automated feedback from the TOC issues, which would require a bunch of GitHub automation. So only if we want somebody who can tackle creative GitHub automation. Otherwise, we'll just go through assigning stuff based on because the TOC doesn't advance stuff that quickly. If you follow me, so you know, we can manually assign stuff.
Yeah, it feels like for the volume, the automation would probably be more work than benefit.
I mean, the other thing to get the TOC to flag is when they have these projects that are moving into final due diligence that have not requested a governance review. Okay, that's it for governance.
Okay, and then maintainer circles, someone said I have not coordinated with.
Yeah, George from the staff was interested in helping support the logistics for it, which would help us get regular maintainer circle meetings going again. But he's been too busy to actually get it started, and I've been too busy to track him down about it, so that's where we currently are.
Okay, so then I switch the name from Deaf and Hard of Hearing to Abide because we have these other things. Just put that in as a category, right? And so basically Abide is a Linux Foundation initiative information that will grow out of the tag. The Deaf and Hard of Hearing working group will become part of that soon. So we'll start with that because here we have a lot of news, and I hope Destiny and Sandeep are very excited. So we have 6 KubeCon and Colo talks, which is super, super cool. We will have a part-time kiosk at the project pavilion in the mornings like last time. I think it worked very well. Also, I forgot to add this here. So the CNCF is doing a DEI hub thing. And so some of the activities that we will be doing will be part of that. And so I'm telling them everything we do. So we were like, can we promote it as such so people are aware of it? Because we've done a few things last time, like the open space discussion, which we're going to do again. And I'm hoping we can do the sign language crash course again. These are just again, opportunities for people to interact with deaf and hard of hearing and team members. But like it was really hard, like no one knew that was going on, and so it was very hard. So people were really engaged, but it's really hard to break through all the KubeCon noise. And I was like, so hopefully we can do like a DEI hub guide, you know, like a blog post and things like that, where people who are interested in that can see like all the activities. And yes, a bunch of them will be specifically from the deaf and hard of hearing working group. Super excited too that most deaf and hard of hearing speakers got funding either through their employer or the Linux Foundation. So that's always a big challenge, right? And more, I think employers are seeing that it's actually very beneficial for them to see their employees on screen, on the stage talking, and it reflects good on them too. So that is an effort that we're trying to do so that they ship in too, right? Because Linux Foundation cannot help forever. This month is Deaf Awareness Month. So you may have seen some social posts going on. We're scheduling at least 2 posts per week. I think we're going to have 3. So please share as you see them popping up in your feed. We're also planning on doing a live stream with multiple people. The idea is to do like a lighthearted, fun, but educational kind of conversation between deaf and hard of hearing individuals. We're going to do probably like 10-minute sections. They're going to switch, you know, and but we need to kind of we need confirmation regarding the interpreters, because that's a little, I did put that as an asterisk there. We would need that, and the CNCF said yes, and then it was like, what do you mean with we need to pay for interpreters? It's like, yes. So we're working on that. So I'm finding quotes now, but yeah, we I think we'll work that through. We'll manage just taking away a few time for us to promote. So that would be on the 26th, and should be, I think, a lot of fun. And yeah, so advocacy, I think this is something maybe Josh will appreciate. We are working on a best practice for meetings with deaf and hard of hearing participants with no interpreters. That is something that is important for projects, because we cannot always have interpreters for everything. So I put a link there. It's still a Google Doc. We're collaborating on that, but at some point we're gonna create a PR and then publish that, and then we can promote that in among projects. And we also tested it in one of the meetings. I'm gonna get to that in a little bit when we talk about the BIPOC. And then Sandeep, you put some stuff in there, so go ahead. Sandeep, do you want to
Yeah, so I think as a part of SIG Contrib X group, I'm working on creating a spotlight for the spotlight. So I have interviewed Catherine, and the spotlight is about how the deaf and hard of hearing working group came into inception, and what are the activities that they have done so far, and how has it been in the past 1 year. Like it was formed a few months before the Chicago KubeCon, and so now almost a year has passed. So what are all the achievements and what are the key achievements in the last 1 year? There's sort of a blog post that highlights all of this. And I think we have finalized the doc and gotten approval, and I am working on converting it to Markdown. And then once it's done, then I think I have to run it by reviews from Federico and maybe Tim. And then I think it should be good to publish.
Okay, cool. And so this is a spotlight for the Kubernetes blog, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't yet have a clear idea on where we are going to publish it yet.
Okay, well, just spotlights are a Kubernetes blog thing. So I just wanted to
That's
confirm.
correct. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, we were wondering because this is the first time Sandeep is doing that, and was like, so where will it be published? And is it correct? And he's like, I'm not sure. So okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we're also framing this as part of the Deaf Awareness Month. And I forgot also someone from the CNCF, one of the writers, actually has a very strong interest in what we're doing for the deaf and hard of hearing and DEIA in general. And she is also working on a blog post for the CNCF blog. And I was like, yeah, well, let's do that around Deaf Awareness Month too. So that's kind of, that's a coincidence, but it's like, yeah, lots of stuff going on, which is great.
Okay, so, and then the KubeCon maintainer track submission for KubeCon India.
Yeah, so I did mention that to Sandeep to think about, but that was like very, I don't know, when is the deadline? Because
It's the 22nd. September 22.
10 days.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
The deadline is October
Is-
22?
Yeah.
No, September.
Yeah. No, September 22.
Yeah, okay. So 10 days.
Yeah.
We have 10 days.
Yep, correct.
Yeah.
Maybe let
Is-
me send the link in the chat.
as
Yeah,
far
I
as,
think so. Yeah.
I was
Go
gonna say,
ahead,
as
Josh.
far as we know, Sandeep, you're the only one active in the tag who's going to be there. So it would be probably just you.
I don't know the answer yet. Just
No, I mean, that's fine. I just want to make sure that you're prepared for a solo presentation.
yes, I'll try my best.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, let's brainstorm topics on Slack.
Yeah, sounds good. And I think, yeah, Sandeep wanted to think about a few topics as well. Of course, all about accessibility, and then you can share those ideas on Slack, Sandeep. Okay, and then moving on to the blind and visually impaired working group, also still information, soon to be part of Abide. Process is rather slow. One of the members is recovering from a medical procedure. She was the more active one. And then we have a first draft of a charter and some ideas, but it's a little kind of slow now, but I'm hoping that things will pick up soon again. And then we have BIPOC also information, which would remain under the tag because Abide, according to the Linux Foundation, the way they kind of wanted it is first start with accessibility only. So far, we have 5 members, 2 of them from the Deaf and Hard of Hearing working group. One of them is Destiny. So that seems to have like some good drive, like some people who are like willing to put in the work. So that's great. The charter has been drafted and being discussed. Yeah, and that's what I wanted to say. This is where we tested. That was the reason for me to say, like, we really need the best practices for deaf and hard of hearing meetings without interpreters, because like let's have something to share with the team. So well, it is, yeah. I call them working groups.
Right, for BIPOC
Yeah.
here, which is that we do have the structure within the tag of having initiatives as a way of people actually getting started on something. So why don't we just establish BIPOC as an initiative, because that way we can give them a folder in the repo and, you know, a meeting time slot, and that way they can figure out the charter and everything else without needing to have everything up front all at once, if you know what I mean.
Oh, so they could get like a repo and everything before, because I thought like they're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've done that.
Yeah.
We've done that before, and that way, because often people, they need the meeting and they need the shared docs in order to create the working group, right? So
Yeah.
let's give them that.
okay, okay. So yeah, so that was my question, like what do they need to kind of
Yeah.
get all the resources? Because I know that, and people can have lots of ideas and not everyone, like you need
Hmm.
to have a little bit done before you can ask the CNCF for resources, right? Because otherwise there would be 1,000 different repos. So what do we do to get that repo? I'm not.
It wouldn't be
really,
a separate repo. I think it would just be a folder
I know.
under our repo. So
Yeah,
we
but
can
I'm not
delete
really.
that, right?
Yeah, I'm not really GitHub kind of fluent.
Okay.
That's why it's like I know how to edit files.
I can set you up.
Yeah.
Make
This-
it
Okay,
a folder.
Thanks.
And I'll help
And
you
yeah,
set up the meetings and get it on the CNCF calendar and all those things. Just talk to me. I'll
Yeah.
fix it for you.
Getting on the calendar, I know, because I know Taylor, because like I know she's super fast. So it's like that's
Yeah.
the stuff that I know. But once it's like the GitHub repo, I'm like, oof, I don't know.
Yeah.
So Rian, if you could help me with that, that would be awesome. And then I didn't know we could make it an official CNCF meeting at this stage, but I'll do that because one of the things
Yeah.
that would be great is for people to discover it on the calendar.
the yeah, no,
And
'cause
yeah,
we can
that's
have tag meetings about anything we want, because they don't have, because like we have the non-code meeting, which is an initiative of contributor growth, right? So
okay.
yeah, okay.
And then tech lead updates, website, and so forth. That is, Rian, you put something on here?
Yes, that is talking about GitHub stuff. There's a PR that we can merge if we want to have a label where we specifically tag only review. So if somebody I don't want to go ahead and merge my own PRs without review, and Ali seems to be offline for a while. If somebody want to merge that, we can have a label specifically for governance review issues.
Okay. I mean, I think that's a good idea anyway. So let's go ahead and merge it. Let's see. Yep.
Okay, and then social media. I mean, the Deaf and Hard of Hearing working group has like a bunch of social posts. I actually forgot to share them in our channel, so I'll do that. I assume people will not share every single one of them at once, but like, yeah, just pick one. Or I think they're really cool because we're trying to have everyone talk a little bit about something why this is important to them. So they are all personalized, which is kind of nice. So do read them too, because
It's been fun seeing people get excited about their social post when it goes out. That's been cool.
Yeah,
It is exciting when somebody talks about you. I like it.
yeah, it's true. Anything else that can be shared that is not deaf and hard of hearing? I mean, like some of the resources from the tag that we should highlight. Yes, Sandeep?
Not much of a highlight, but I got my org membership.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah. So this would be my first time attending the KCS summit.
Your what? Sorry, I didn't get what membership? I probably don't know what that is.
Kubernetes org membership.
Yeah, congratulations.
Oh, congrats.
I
Oh.
lost mine. I lost mine last year. I didn't make enough.
Yeah.
I didn't make any contributions, and they took it away.
Oh, I didn't know you had to kind of keep up, which makes sense because there are a lot of people who are contributing, right? So,
Well, it was fair. I hadn't made any contributions in like 2 years.
Okay. If there's nothing more, we are extremely punctual. Well, not 2 minutes early, maybe, but just enough to say bye?
Yep.
Thanks, Catherine.
Good to see everybody.
Sounds really good. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.